Unit 1. Accommodations and how they are determined. Presentation overview. This presentation will cover the following: how accommodations are determined, required documentation, purpose of accommodations, and examples of accommodations. Accommodations and how they are determined. Specific accommodations are determined by SAS advisors in consultation with the student. Recommendations to faculty are made with careful consideration of the following: the nature and severity of the disability as described in the current documentation, the requirements of the course of study, format of exam, objectives of the course, method of instruction, the learning and compensatory strategies developed by the student, the individual needs of the student. Documentation. In order for SAS to support a student's request for accommodations, a current assessment report must be on file. This report must demonstrate reasonable evidence that the accommodations requested are appropriate and relevant given the nature of the disability and the demands of the environment for which they are being recommended. All documentation must be reviewed and approved by SAS staff. Accommodations and how they are determined. The purpose of accommodations is to allow the students with disabilities to learn and be evaluated on a level playing field with other students. At the same time, the accommodations cannot jeopardize the integrity of the course of study or modify the requirements of the course in any way. Requests for specific accommodations must match up with the identified deficit or impairment, given that the area of disability is to be alleviated by that accommodation. Recommendations must be tied to specific test results and must include a rationale and a description of the impact of the disability on academic functioning. Accommodation examples. Accommodations recommended by SAS in the past may include, but are not limited to, extra time to write tests and exams. Where clearly supported by documentation, the University of Guelph provides time and 1/2 for writing tests and exams. In some cases, double time may be allocated. However, the university does not support unlimited time for writing tests and examinations. Quiet exam space. SAS has an exam center in which students with disabilities may write tests and exams in a quiet space. Use of a computer for exams. Computers in the SAS Exam Center function as word processors and may be used for exams with a written language component. As a result, they do not have access to the internet. Spelling accommodation. The most common method of accommodating deficits in spelling is through the use of spell-checking software. However, other methods may be considered as agreed upon between the student and the instructor or SAS advisor. Use of a non-programmable calculator. Where appropriate, a non-programmable calculator for basic calculations may be recommended and supported. Alternative exam formats. Alternative format exams may include the use of adaptive technology such as Kurzweil, Dragon Naturally Speaking, and Text Help. Use of a scribe to record answers or a reader to process exam questions. Question clarification during tests and exams. Test and exam questions cannot be reworded or clarified by proctors or definitions given for content-specific vocabulary. Any form of clarification of tests and exam questions must be negotiated between the student and the instructor prior to the test or exam. Note-taking support. Note-taking support may include copies of peer notes, hard copies of overheads, and instructor's notes. Extensions to assignments. In most cases, students with disabilities are expected to begin assignments early in the semester with the understanding that they may require extra time to complete the assignments by the deadline. Reduced course load. Many students with disabilities choose to take a reduced course load in order to allow additional time to complete assignments and process course material. Your responsibilities. As a student at the University of Guelph, you will be treated as an adult. It is your responsibility to make contact with SAS at the beginning of your first semester and at any time during your academic career at Guelph when you require advice or support. Each semester, when you meet with your SAS advisor, you will sign a service agreement stating that you understand your role as an SAS student and the accommodations associated with this. Students must register with SAS every semester in which they will be requesting academic accommodations or support. This should be arranged in the first 2 to 3 weeks of every semester. Summary. Accommodations are determined by your SAS advisor and documentation. Documentation must be relevant and up to date. Accommodations allow students registered with SAS to be evaluated fairly against other students. Accommodations must match up with disability. It is your responsibility to meet with SAS each semester to set up accommodations. End of presentation.